Hi, this is Mia Mansoor Ahmed. I am a data science executive at a bank, and my main job is to build chatbot and do some data science work. So today I'm going to share how to build a very simple chatbot using a framework called RASA. So I'm sharing the screen. Can you see my screen?
No. Oh, now it shows.
Okay. So we are using the RASA framework. Why? First thing, it's an open source framework and you can change it according to your will. There are other chatbot platforms like Watson AI, Alexa, but they are highly paid, and this is something that everyone can use. So I'm going to go through it. Okay, I'm using Anaconda with Python version 3.7. It has a latest version, but it has some uh, deficiencies or some dependencies that is not applicable with the RASA environment. And we will do this right now. Okay, first go to, after installing Anaconda, obviously, go to the Anaconda prompt and create an environment. You can name it whatever you want. Let's say, I already have RASA Udacity, so I'm naming it RASA Udacity 1. And I will be using Python version 3.7.6. So this will create my environment. I'm not creating it again. I already have it. Uh, so I have these environments. Next thing that let's activate our required environment. Okay. So right after activating it, we first need to install UJSON. It's called Ultra JSON. And I'm specifically installing this version because this version works. Okay, I already installed it. So next we will need to install TensorFlow. I'm not installing it, it's already installed, and it takes some time to install it. And the next thing is RASA, and we have that environment ready. For demonstration purpose, I would be using an already built environment, which is RASA 3.7. Let me show. That's the RASA version, and that's the RASA X version that I'm using for demonstration purpose. Okay, first you need to go to the folder where you want to start your chatbot. This is my folder, and I will do browser in it. Yep. Okay. It's asking whether do I want to train the model. No, but I will still train it because I want to see how it works. in the back end, there are neural networks and other things going on. So it takes some time to train. Okay, so now we have a very simple model that's ready, and we'll see that in action. Don't worry, these commands are already written in the file for presentation, and it will be shared. So I respond. How is that responding? How does it know that it has to respond? So for that, we first need to see these four files. NLU, what happened? Uh, is everything working fine?
Everything is fine. We have
Okay.
Hassan with a raised hand for the question that we're gonna attend at the end of the presentation for the Q&A.
Okay, all right.
So you can continue.
Yes, hello, Mr. Mian.
Yep. Hi.
I want to I cannot memorize all of these commands. So is it possible to share a record for this lesson with us?
Yes, yes, yes. The recording will be shared, and this document will be shared also. So
Okay,
don't worry
Mr.
about
Mian.
that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so where was I? These four files are the first file that we need to see if you want to understand what happened here. So NLU is, in other words, is called natural language understanding, or it's the training file. Uh, Someone mic is open. Can you please close it? Thank you. Okay, so this is a training file, and these are all called training examples. And we have intents. Let's say we have a greet intent, a goodbye intent, affirm, deny, mood happy, unhappy, and for challenge. We just the good part is in this chatbot we only give examples and the name of the intent, and I do the work. Okay, so these are the training files for the intent. Now we have stories. What are stories? Like, let's say if there was an intent greet, what would be its response? What should the chatbot do? It should utter greet. What's utter greet? We'll just see. If the intent is mood greet, it will do utter happy. That's utter greet in our domain file. These are the responses. All right. And rules are just simple way of saying the chatbot that these stories are sacred and that these stories cannot be broken. So whenever there's a goodbye, it will always say goodbye. In stories, we can modify it like whatever we want. Utter greed, it could be mood unhappy. Utter greed, mood unhappy, cheer up, this and that. Utter deny. So okay, what we are doing is on the shell. Let's see some other story. What we uh, saw this story. What was it? Hi was greet. It did. Hey, how are you? It was utter greet. And I told the bot that I'm happy. mood great, I'm happy. He said, okay, great, carry on. Let's see the sad path. For you. Sad. Okay, it gave me a picture of something. Let's see what that is. The line. So it's trying to make me happy or cheer me up with this cute line. Did that help you? Yeah, sure. Let's carry on. So what have you seen so far? Intents, training examples, and stories and rules, and how we add the responses. All right. So that was all on shell. What if we want a user interface like this? This is called RASA X. So far, we did everything on RASA. Now we are going to install RASA X. These are the compatible version, RASA 2.6.2 and RASA X 2.0.4.0. So we're going to install it, but we don't need to install it because I've already installed it. You just need to go there and copy paste, enter. It will install that. How we run it? Simply wrapping RASA X. No, yeah, I recently messed up the environment. I should not have done that. But anyway, we will still try to install it and see if that fixes the issue. These are the common issues that you face while you're developing something. So don't be afraid of these things. Okay, that worked. Happy. So now we can see all those files, our NLU training data here, our responses, our stories, rules, and we see these two files, configuration, what that is, I don't know, domain. This is something that we have responses in and intends to register. What is this thing? Configuration. Is anyone here from NLP background? They could understand what I'm talking about. I guess no. So these are the pipelines that we define for our chatbot. What is it doing? As a beginner, you don't need to understand it, but it's good to understand if you want it by becoming an expert in it. So don't worry about it right now. Just believe it that they're there and they work. So we are going to see our model here. Where's our model? There's one. And we can talk to our bot. See, more interactive. Okay, so let's say that I want to change this hey to aloha. How do I do that? Let's go to the domains, change hey to aloha, save it. Did it work? Let's see. Now, why not? Can anyone have a guess? Just a wild guess. Because it's a model and we need to train it. Whatever we did, even after changing a single dot, we need to train that model again for it to work. So it's an intelligent bot, so it just saw that there was just one word change, so it does not need to go through all the steps, and it added the aloha to the new model. So now we can easily use it. Aloha. Now we will have another model here. And we need to activate that model. Now it will show us the new response. It's coming. So let's get to buttons. Rasa also provide us with these interactive buttons. What will this do? That rather than writing I'm feeling good or I'm feeling bad, you can just click that button here. And right now we are going to create a button here. So see, it changed after training, not without training. So here I want a button. Payload is something that it will trigger. What will it trigger? We'll see that. So if the user says good, what should be the intent for in that case? Mood great, because the user is feeling happy. And what would be the intent if the user says very bad, mood unhappy? So these are already trained in our bot, and we just need to train this to see those patterns. See, now it's training it from start to bottom because we introduce something which is totally different from just aloha, how are you? Okay. So the first thing that we need to do is to activate the model. My system is not slow. It has a lot of RAM. Yeah. This is the software. It takes time. And see, now it's more interactive. And even from here, you can control the responses from the user. They could write something else other than good or bad that the bot does not understand at that point. So that we did. And the next part was to integrate it to a web chat. Now, to integrate for integration, I am using this script. This script is provided by bot font developers. The link is included in the presentation, so you can go there and find it. And you just need to copy this script and paste it in your folder. But before that, there's one thing that you need to see. I'm using RASA version 2.1.2. Why? Because this only support that version or this version. So instead of using this environment, I am going to use 2.212 environment. And before that, I am going to delete all of this and initiate bot here. Okay. No, I want to change the button. Okay. And it's time to include the script. We will include it in the body. First, we will change this to 1.0.0 version, and HTTP our local host. We are running it on, or we will running it on 5005. So this thing, and if you notice, this is a socket URL. So we would need to activate socket IO in our bot. So how we do? Is it? No. And you can choose whatever you want, either true or false, but I'll choose false. I should press this. And one more thing, you need to action endpoint. We're not using an action endpoint, but it's good to open it. So we have it here, and we are going to train the model in this environment. I actually messed up with this environment as well. So let's hope that it work out fine. Okay, so now we will be using a different command than before. That is this command. So we have it here. Yeah, configuration. Exactly. Okay, so it's causing issue here. But what will you will see here when it work out well is a bot at this point, uh, right under the lower bottom of the page. Might be the issue. Hmm. This is the error that I'm getting. And I am not sure why I got this error. Let's install it again. See if that helps. Nope. I'm sorry about that. This should be working.
No problem, man. Do you want us to kind of go into Q&A, or do you have anything else after this to present?
Yeah, sure. You can go to Q&A. This was the last part, and it was wanted to show a widget here in the right bottom that will do the same thing that we just saw. So yeah, we can go into Q&A.
Awesome. So it looks like nobody posted any messages in the chat, but if anyone do have a question and for Mian or for anything related to the chatbot, please raise your hand and maybe you can unmute yourself and ask yourself. And remember that this recording and also the files are going to be shared. And Mian, if you want, you can also share the GitHub repo that you have for this chatbot, and maybe people also can take a look at that. We do have a
Okay.
question from Kane, and
Yep.
that is, how long does it take to build the chatbot?
It depends on the use case. Let's say if you're building an FAQ-based bot and you have like 10 intents, you can probably build it in a month, or if you're an expert, maybe a week. But if you have like hundreds of intents, you would need a lot of time for optimization, because there will be a lot of examples that will correlate to each other. So it actually depends on the chatbot itself and how many people you have, how many chatbot developers, designers, and the DevOps team, data science team also. That depends on that. Okay, so there is one more question. I
Yep.
encountered the chatbot while checking the orders on shopping site. How's the backend is handled on those sites? Okay, so for that we use a custom action that handles the backend. I haven't, yeah, I don't have a custom action, but this chatbot also, let me just show it. See, this is the best part of RASA, that you can use custom actions in it. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a custom action here. What this depicts is just a simple utter message of hello world. And if you want to run it in the chatbot, we would copy this into our domain file or not domain file, to our storage file. So rather than greet, it will be action hello world. Or you can change the text to anything else, hello, whatever. So this is a very simple example of custom action. So yeah, if you want to learn how to use that kind of a backend, you would need to learn custom actions and definitely Python. Okay, so we have one more question. Can we manage the entire order processing through chatbot, even the payment house? So for payment, you need to have an external API. You cannot use it inside the chatbot because chatbot itself is one entity. So yeah, you would need an external API for that. But you can integrate that API in the chatbot using custom actions again.
We have another one.
Yep. Do we need to create another instance while working on clouds? Uh, well, there is a deployment for cloud. You can use either Docker Compose or Kubernetes deployment. So the Kubernetes deployment is just a one script deployment. You just need to put that there and it deploys it. But it's a little bit difficult for those who does not understand Kubernetes. So for beginners, I would recommend Docker Compose. It's easy to learn, and there's a video, and you can also use it's very easy to follow guide. You can use it, and it's installed on a cloud. Or chatbot in website. Uh, no. Let's say if you are if you have deployed that chatbot on a cloud, that all you need. You will need a different port for that. Let's say uh, 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 we were using port 5005 here, but there we might be using port 80. It depends on how you define it. And for custom actions, we normally use the 5055 port action endpoint. Is there any difference between chat box, which takes input in button as compared to word or text? Just curious. Okay, so the main idea is that the chatbot it's a contextual chatbot. What it does is you give a text-based query and it identify an intent according to it because it trains all these intents and it has a model. When you give a query, the model predicts that intent, and there will be predictions for every or at least 10 intents, and the highest intent will go. Let's say the intent was greet. Greet has the highest prediction. What it will do is it will go to the stories and rules and see how greet works. Let's say if the intent is greet, the action would be utter greet. Greet action will have a word. Greet utter greet. So it will choose this, right? And yeah. And if you are using buttons, what we are actually doing is let's see. If the person clicks good, it will trigger mood greet. So if mood greet is pressed, it will always reply utter happy, right? So that's how a button works. A button gives you a power to uh, release the user from contextual base, and it's very easy to use. If you want the whole chatbot to be contextual, you would need a lot of optimization and understanding of NLP. Okay, making Android chatbots and suggestions. Yes, you can integrate it with Android. I don't know the interface that you will use, but it is possible to integrate it. My company integrated it with our Android device app, and I'm not sure which app they use, but the Android team made that chat tool. I couldn't find something related to it on the internet, so you might have to write it down the code base. Okay, what about the API? When we connect it with other server, how it affects the load of the website? You mean the payment API, right? Which API are you talking about, Ross?
So Ross, if you want to, unmute yourself and maybe ask the question.
Okay, so the payment API. That payment API will be obviously serving on some other host, so it will not impact badly, but it will have a small impact, but not impact badly. It will do the same work as it is doing previously, so nothing new. iOS versus Android in terms of board, which is built to resolve the queries. I didn't get the question. Built to resolve the queries. What queries?
Melissa, if you want, also you can unmute yourself and clarify the question. Melissa? Okay, so we can leave that for later. Kane is asking also better handling the load, which I think is related to his previous question.
Mm-hmm. What can I say? It depends on your RAM and how you interact with that API. Let's say the bot that I deployed was on an 8 gigabyte RAM, and it was accumulating like 7.8 gigabyte RAM. So we have to increase it. So it also depends on the deployment. If you are using Docker Compose, it will definitely take more RAM and put a lot of load on the website. But if you're using Kubernetes and have a do chatbot affect the loading speed of the website or app? No, it does not. No, because the chatbot is working in the backend. So you have that backend server which is taking all the load. If you have have a good server with a good RAM and a good CPU, it will be good to go. And it will not affect the payment API. Yep, SSL work here, Melissa. What about the SSL? Does SSL work here too? Yes, you can run it on HTTPS if you want. For that, you would need to provide the certificates and do some Nginx configuration. Would there be any loopholes? So the chatbot that I deployed was validated by our internet security team, and there were no loopholes. And I'm working in a bank, so they take it very seriously. So for me, there were no loopholes, but there could be some loopholes if you're building some other API and it does not have a good wrapper around it. There could be some vulnerabilities. But in the chatbot itself, it is made uh, really good. So don't worry about any vulnerabilities in the chatbot. How about you usually encounter? So the it depends on the version. I've been using RASA 1 point something version, and currently it's running 2.8 version, and it's going to 3.0 version. So it depends on the version. If you go to their documentation or their versioning, you can see all the changelog and you can see all the bugs fixes that they did. So if you're facing any bug, just search it. It will be either fixed somewhere, or there is a possibility that the new version also have bugs. So I would recommend to use an older version for this. So you would know how many bugs are there, and you can take up with those bugs. Deployment of chatbot on server to handle tons of queries like gaming. How is it processed? So if you are if you're expecting like queries like millions of queries in a minute, I would suggest that you deploy it on an orchestration, on a Kubernetes server, or any kind of orchestration that you like, and scale it, because one server is not going to work there. You would need to have a huge server and scale it. There should be a load balancing gateway there. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. It seems like you answered a lot of questions and people don't have any more questions. Really like the chat box, and it's really interesting. I'm eager to see the the repo, if you can share it, and if you have this app in GitHub. And seems like Fab has a question. Maybe Fab, you want to unmute yourself?
No, only learning.
What was that?
Only learning.
Only learning. Cool. So you raise your question. That's why I thought you had a question. Cool. Well, thank you then, Main, Mian,
Thank you.
and then we'll be sharing this recording. I'm and the presentation as well.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.
Have a great day or night.
Thanks.